Last night, the second episode of Game of Thrones, final season, aired, and Winterfell is preparing for battle. All right, now as a warning, we're about to do a recap of the second episode, so if you haven't seen it here, there will be a lot of spoilers ahead, so turn away, walk away. Do we ever tell people to turn away? Wow. That's how big a deal this is.
Turn the volume down.
Yeah, turn the volume down. Sopan Deb is a culture reporter at the New York Times, and he's here to talk more about the episode. And guess who else is here? Paula Reid. Look at that smile. Look at she can't wait to talk about this. And full disclosure here, I have never seen an episode of Game of Thrones.
What?
Rather than sit, look at this. Paula's aghast. He's shocked.
Who is this guy?
Exactly. And listen, my partner loves it. I haven't seen an episode, so I have been studying. My producers have given me questions, so please grade me on how smart I appear after this segment.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Sopan, it was a big night of reveals. We'll start with the moment that everyone is, and the prompter is going to roll, everyone is talking about. That's when Jon Snow reveals that to Dany, that he is the rightful heir to the Iron Throne.
Well, I've never seen it. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, you know, what was interesting about last night's episode is that it was a marked, the first 3 or 4 seasons was a lot more about character moments. You had, there would be entire episodes where not a lot happened. And then the last couple seasons where you saw, especially in the last season in particular, where a lot of things happened in the course of an hour. Last night's episode was a return to form in a way. You had a lot more character development, and you had a lot. And Game of Thrones is an ensemble show, right? It's not like Mad Men, where it's a show about John Hamm's Don Draper, right? It's not like Breaking Bad and the way it's about Bryan Cranston, right, and Walter White. Game of Thrones is an ensemble show, and last night, for the first time, we saw, 7 or 8 of these cast members do extended scenes together. And the big reveal, of course, is, well, it's not quite a reveal, but Daenerys Targaryen and Jon Snow, they finally have that moment where they find out they are related, that Jon Snow has a claim to the Iron Throne. Now, I realize this probably means absolutely nothing to you, the thing is, we've all been wondering for many, many seasons, is Daenerys Targaryen an evil person? And we don't know, because she's always had this singular goal of ruling the kingdom in which Game of Thrones is based. And I think we're going to find out, is she actually a benevolent ruler, or is she like her father, the Mad King? So we don't know. We're about to find out.
So Dany professed her love for Jon to his sister, Sansa. Sansa earlier in the episode. Paula, did you get the sense that she was being sincere, or do you believe she's only concerned about her future as the ruler of the 7 kingdoms?
Of course she's being sincere. We all believe in Dany and Jon. She brought him home. She introduced him to her dragons, right? Last season, in the final episode, we, the viewers, we kind of knew this was an incestuous relationship, even though they didn't. And still, we were cheering for them. We love this couple. I do think this is real love. She's had some other romances in the past that were more, shall we say, utility, less romantic. But that's not the case here. They're clearly setting this up to be a major plot line throughout this season. But during that conversation with Sansa, it was clear that she would do some things for love, but she wouldn't do that. She would not give up the North. You saw that conversation was just over when Sansa broached the question of, well, what happens to the North? Are we going to have to kneel to you? Because we don't want to do that. But no, absolutely, I believe in Dany and Jon. I think it's real love. Will it last the entire season?
Sopan wants to jump in.
My question for you, Paul, is do you think that she loves Jon Snow enough that she would be willing to give up her claim to the Iron Throne because Jon Snow has a better one? Does she love him that much?
I think there's a lot of room for compromise here. I think, again, the idea of a marriage, incest, not out of bounds in the 7 kingdoms. So I think that would be a great compromise to sort of bridge this question about who exactly gets the Iron Throne. They can sit on it. Although it looks like it only fits one person, but maybe she could sit on his lap.
Game of Thrones, the show known for compromise, where compromise wins out typically. Yes, of course.
So there were a handful of major girl power moments, I'm told, in last night's episode.
There were. Well, one was the Sansa and Daenerys getting together and chatting. But the big one was Arya Stark making love to Gendry, who is Robert Baratheon's bastard son. Again, all stuff that we know. I know it seems very strange to hear about, but yeah, last night you had also Brienne of Tarth, who becomes a knight, and it was one of the finest moments, I think, in the entire series, because for the first time you see Brienne showing true joy in a life of, frankly, hasn't had much joy. But actually, I'd love to hear what Paula had to say about this.
Oh, absolutely. But I also think they're setting up that Brienne is likely to die in this next battle. And you have to remember, in these battle scenes, not only will they die, they could become White Walkers. So the idea of having Brienne of Tarth on the other side of the battle, that's a big question. But there's no way, after a scene like that, being knighted by her sort of unrequited love, Jaime, that emotional scene, there's no way she makes it through the next episode. There's just no way.
Last question. You don't have to watch to be impressed with how much money this show has brought in and how long it's been on the air. So
it's very much HBO's crown jewel.
Yeah.
And after the Time Warner merger and AT&T now being involved, it's curious to see what they do with the franchise.
how many years has it been on?
I want to say years. I think debuted 10 years ago. I mean, at least. But it's a huge moneymaker for HBO, and HBO has historically been very selective with the kind of content it puts out there. Now with the merger, it's an interesting question to see whether they're going to try to extend the franchise. Look, historically, most franchises, they find a way to do it again, whether it's a prequel, whether it's, there's already been a pilot that's been greenlit. But usually, look, if you look at Marvel, if you look at Star Wars, usually big name crown jewel franchises, they're cash cows. So there's always ways, Star Trek, there's always ways to go back at them. And I imagine HBO will do the same with Game of Thrones.
Sopan, thank you.
Thank you.
Paula, the intensity on the grounds of the White House, I can't get enough of it. Thank you both.
Thank
This was
you.
fun.